What up, though? This your boy Cousin P, and you're tuned in to the spot.
The spot where the ears meet the street.
Here with the players, the best. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you. Damn, I don't even know. I gotta hit the shit where your ear eat. What is it? Where your ears meet the street. Where your ear meet the street. The spot where your ear meet the streets, man.
To the spot. This is Vicky. It's where ears meet the streets. Today we have on the show.
All right, peace and love, y'all. It's your man Tey Yaniis, and glad to be here. You know what I mean?
It's the South Side. Relish in the rise. I'm blessed to thank my maker. Sky's the limit with the vision. We up like elevators. Walking in my season, I'm cooking up new flavors. See, I'm grand on the hustle tip. Kings do it major. A stone cold gentleman, debonair concierge. See, I'm cool on the cut like peroxide. My music's on the hill. That's right. We give them something they can feel. It's braille, so we gon' uplift your spirit. Rearrange the culture, stay down, but we stand up for something like Mrs. Rosa. Dreams manifested. The feeling.
Okay, glad. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I got a few questions for you today.
All right, no doubt.
All right, let's get into it. So, are you working on any new projects? Have you released any new projects?
Actually, I just released the EP. It's a 7-song EP entitled King. So we just coming off the heels of the UK tour. So actually the first date was the 6th of October in Manchester. So the day after October 7th, we dropped King. So at the moment, I'm just currently promoting music from that joint. You know what I mean? My single Juke joint is out right now, and yeah, we pushing King, still pushing the Soul Jones collection, which are 2 projects that I have out right now. And just trying to continue pushing this good music.
Okay. So what is King about? What influenced the name?
King basically, it's like, because one thing about the music that I create is that it's not really genre based. Like, it's like neo soul, it's jazz, it's hip hop, it's just all into like just one gumbo. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing about King was, at the time, I was really kind of like just struggling to actually create a project, you know what I mean? But the biggest thing was that I just had to get adjusted, you know what I mean? And a friend of mine was like, man, you were like the king of just kind of going with the motions, going with the flow. And, I was like, hey, I got these songs, like, what do you think? And he was like, yeah, man, he was like, I definitely have to dub this. It was like, it's the King project. So it was definitely an idea of a friend of mine. So, you know what I mean? And we put it together, and that's that. Yeah, it worked out.
Okay. Well, I noticed that you said that it was a mixture, like a gumbo of different genres of music.
Yes.
What is your specific sound like? How do you describe you?
It's definitely hip hop based. You know what I mean? Hip hop is the common denomination when it comes down to the music that I present out there. But the thing is that it's like, I don't necessarily want to say that I just don't follow the crowd. I just do music that I grew up on, music that I truly love. And, also too, there's a message in every single song that I put out. But at the same time, it's like, I don't necessarily want to make it seem like it's conscious music, but the conscious music got a jam. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when we hear conscious music, we feel like people are preaching at us. But at the same time, I still want to give you a groove, still give you a vibe. You know what I mean? But at the same time, still, it's like putting some sugar on the broccoli. You know what I mean? To, make it taste good as far as the music goes. But as far as the music, it's like I said, it's just more, it's music with a message.
Okay. So what are you hoping that your fans, family and friends get from your music?
The biggest thing with me is legacy. It's like, I don't want to look back 20, 30 years from now and look at the music that I make and be embarrassed by it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't want to feel like, oh yeah, well, I made this at the moment because it was hot. You know what I mean? Because I don't necessarily feel like, how can I say this? When it comes down to success, I don't want to be successful by imitating success. I want to be successful by being an originator. You know what I mean? Because it's like, at the same time, it's like my music doesn't necessarily fit into just one pocket. It's like, it's neo soul, it's hip hop, but it's like a lot of people, they're always like, well, we're trying to put you in a certain genre, but it is feel good music. You know what I'm saying? So, but my thing is that like my legacy is very important to me. I'm married. I have, my wife, my 4 beautiful children, and it's like I do music for them. I want that music that could be at the backyard boogie where you can listen to it without the curse words and different things of that nature, but it still has that presence of what we once knew, kind of added in with what's going on right now.
Well, I noticed you said you're a family man, so. Can you say that your family, or what influences your music? Where does your creativity for it come from?
My family, pure motivation. You know what I mean? It's like because, like I said, I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and one thing about it is like when I remember one day, this was a while ago. I was like listening to some of the old stuff that I used to do, right? But my daughter was catching on to it, and she was starting to kind of repeat some of the lyrics, and I was like, oh no, we got to change this. You know what I mean? And but at the same time, I know for me, it took spiritual growth and a little bit of maturing to actually come to the conclusion of the music that I make now. So my thing is that my family motivates me. They drive me. It's like every morning I wake up and I got to realize like, what's my purpose? What's my why? Why do I do this? What's my purpose for doing it? A lot of people do music. There's no purpose. It's like, I just want to do music because it looks cool. It's like, no, it's like, this is my purpose. This is my why. This is something that I've been doing for a long time. But when you're actually doing things, it's like, but when you actually figure out why you're doing it, you'll never run out of gas. Because you have that feeling like, okay, like, I do music, but it's like run out of gas, like, because things are not going my way. You know what I'm saying? People are not jamming my music like I want them to, and people quit. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, when I found my purpose and I found my why, that's why I was like, okay, cool. Now I actually have a direction, and that fuels me to keep going.
And I noticed you said that your daughter was starting to repeat the words. So it's important how she viewed, and your children and family view you as an artist. How do you want the world outside of your family, how do you want them to view you as an artist? My
biggest thing is that, of course, music is entertainment. But one thing that I always say in my shows, I say peace, love, unity, and respect. You know what I mean? It's keeping our character in check. You know what I mean? Showing love to thy neighbor. You know what I'm saying? And just making sure that, my music is projecting something more than just, okay, yeah, that was a good song, but it's like I actually got something from it. One thing about it is that it's like, I love Maxwell, but at the same time, it's like, I might turn off Maxwell and I might mess around and listen to a Martin Luther King speech or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I still need to be captivated. I need to feel what it is that you're saying. Like, the music is cool, but it's like we all have those songs. Like one of my favorite songs is like Tupac's Changes. You know what I'm saying? It's like a song that'll always, it'll age like fine wine. It'll never change. You know what I mean? It's just a good song with a good message. But we already know what the other songs that Pac has done. But at the same time, there's certain songs that he kind of projected out there that's always going to hold a place in our hearts. And I think that's the biggest thing that I want with my music. It's like I want my music to hold that special place with everyone when they listen to it.
Okay, so you rapping with a substance. What message do you typically deliver?
Well, the biggest thing is like love for my wife, love for my children. You know what I mean? Just basically the things that I see in my community and how we can just make sure that we uplift each other. You know what I mean? It's like, I take bits and pieces of like, can I say this? Like I say, it's like we have a community as a whole, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like we are always glorifying the negative that comes down to in our communities. But what about the positive?
Right.
You know what I mean? What about those times when we was just like, hey, we having a barbecue, come through and kick it. You know what I mean? Like, where are those times at? Where's that music at? It's like, okay, we can talk about the this, that's, and the thirds, but at the same time, it's like, what about those times we do? I feel like there's a negative connotation on the hood. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because I grew up in South Dallas. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, one thing that I remember about South Dallas was it was a beautiful place to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like the kids and, you know what I'm saying? Like, how we was out doing our thing. And, it's like my great-grandfather, great-grandmother, they used to barbecue in the front yard. And you know what I'm saying, like, hey, come get some food and this, that, and the third. And it's like, man, let's put those things into records. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know about the killings and the drug dealings and different things of that nature. How many times can we regurgitate a story? You know what I mean? We all been through that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So how can we shine light on those positive things, like that advice that Muddill will give you, or that, you know what I'm saying, that advice that Unc will give you. You know what I'm saying? Even though Unc will be going off to St. Ives or something, but it's like he's still dropping those nuggets. You know what I'm saying? He'll drop those nuggets, but if Will Smith said, we like, oh, well, Will Smith said this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Now, Unc been telling you everybody ain't your friend, everybody ain't your partner. But celebrity said we hold more value to that because of who they are. But Unc been telling us that for years. So it's just one of those things. It's like just taking those nuggets and just putting them into the music and just making sure that we shine light even on those types of situations. You know what I mean?
I heard you say you from South Dallas. How long have you been here?
I've been in California for 13 years.
What part of South Dallas you from?
That's South Dallas.
I know, but long time. I'm sorry. My family is from Texas.
Okay.
I'm from Dallas. Okay,
so yeah, you know, I grew up in the Photos area. You know what I mean? Okay. And then we moved over to Park Row. You know what I'm saying? A little bit like I lived in Park Row from 8th grade till I graduated high school, and I lived in Photos from, pretty much since I was born, so I think about like 5th grade. I think it was like maybe like a couple years. We spent a little bit of time in Denton because my mom went and got her degree. You know what I'm saying? Which is like 45 minutes outside of Dallas. But then once she got done with that, we moved over to Park Row. And, you know, shout out to the great James Madison High School Trojans, you know what I mean? Class of 2004, I'm telling my age, but...
We from Oak Cliff.
Okay, all right, come on.
With the sock.
Okay, all right. That's, you know, it's crazy. It's a blessing that they finally got a roof.
Right.
In that school. Yeah, I heard about that.
My dad went to that school. That's how long that school has been there.
Yeah, South Oak Cliff. Sock, yeah. So
where do you, is that where you got like your influence for music from? Like being there a lot?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
There's a lot of soul there. That's why I asked that.
Yeah. I mean, but
musicians and...
It is, but at the same time, I wasn't mature enough to really understand, like, what I had. You know what I mean? Because, like, you from Texas, you jam Texas music. You know what I'm saying? You know, DSR, Cottonmouth Jesse, Mr. Lucci, Mr. Poochie, Mr. Lucci, Mr. Pookie, don't want to get that confused. You know what I'm saying? Crook for Life, SUC, Trey, Zero, you know what I mean? And that's what I was listening to growing up. But at the same time, we had Erykah Badu. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and she from South Dallas as well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was there. I walked past her when she did that naked thing. Downtown,
yeah.
I didn't know what was going on or even who she was at the time. I was like, who's this lady walking naked? And then I realized it clicked in my mind afterwards that she walked by me. I'm like, that was Erykah Badu, and then the crowd and all that.
Right. That was from the window seat video. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, man, I was out here when that was going on. So shout out to the queen, though. Yeah, you know, her brother went to high school at James Madison.
At the West End, she was down there.
Right. So, but yeah, you know, that's, like I said, music was definitely a heavy influence because it's like, you know, we all started the same. It's like the lunchroom ciphers, everybody beating on the table. And, you know, I played ball as well, but, you know, I was more better at the rapping. You know, people would come find me like, hey, like, we about to start, you know, we about to crank this beat up, do our thing, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, but at the same time, you know, I know a tragedy hit my family, you know what I mean? But music was my refuge at that time. You know what I mean? You know, I almost lost my mother. So music was my refuge at the time. But at the same time, it's like, people was like, man, you should take these and put them on a CD. And I did that. And my senior year was like, okay, now I can actually take care of some things financially. But at the same time, music has always been a love of mine. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. You know.
So we're here in Sacramento, and in a city with so many musically inclined people, what do you feel makes you separate? What makes you pop? Even with other people who may be close to your sound or, you know, somewhat similar, what makes you pop different?
One thing about it is that there's 1,000 people that do what you do. The biggest thing with me is the consistency. Like, so I've been doing music since I was like 16, but I can honestly say that I hit a real stride in 2015 when I dropped a song that was dedicated to my wife called My Coffee Brown. And it's like ever since then, it was like, you know, I ran through Sacramento, did my thing, ran through the Bay Area, did my thing, but then it was like after that, it's like, how can we expand? You know what I'm saying? It's like, because in every city, you're going to have artists that's doing their thing. Like, everybody got something going on. But the thing is that when you make your mark, you got to expand. So my thing was, I was like, okay, so what's going on in Phoenix? Or what's going on in Dallas? Like, you know, I'll go back home and do my thing. You know what I'm saying? And Vegas, what's going on in South Carolina? And like the biggest accomplishment for me as an artist was that I've been able to tour the UK twice. You know what I'm saying? So we just came from out there. We did the Soul Jones Collection tour, and then the year prior, I went over to London and Birmingham. It's not Birmingham, y'all. It's Birmingham. That's what they call it. They'll kill you for that. Went over there last year and did my thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the fact that I want to stand out from the artists that's here. I just want to make sure that I'm making my personal mark and staying consistent and true to my craft. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is that if I'm looking at everybody else, I'm not doing my job. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like I need to take care of my business. And it's like if I could rock with other artists and bring them in, it's like so be it. But it's like if that's my focus, then I'm already losing. It's like I don't come to the game to sit on the sideline and talk about what the next person is doing. It's like we playing the game. So it's like we got to get out there. We got to ball out. We trying to get the W. I can't just really sit back and just be like, yeah, you know, I'm so-and-so's doing this, and how can I stand out from so-and-so? Like, no, it's like I created a sound. And it's like there's a lot of soul singers here, and some of the soul singers are like, well, that's too rappy for me. Or some of the rappers are like, oh, that's too soft for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, go where you celebrate it, not tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like a lot of love for Sac. You know what I mean? I did a lot of great things here, but it's like now it's time to expand. That would be my advice to any independent artist. You know what I mean? It's like, do your thing, make your mark, but then after that, it's like, shoot, if you killed it in Sac, can you go somewhere else and kill it? Can you go somewhere else and kill it? Are you willing to invest that money to travel? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't drop your album and just work it here. It's like, shoot, you ain't even went to Oakland. You ain't even went to San Francisco. You know what I'm saying? Like, take your stuff on the road and, you know what I'm saying, put it to work and see how other people feel about it. Right. You know, like the UK really embraces my sound, so it's like every year we making it a thing to go out there in October.
Okay, so I was just going to ask you about that. When you went to the UK, how many shows did you do? What was that like? So
the first time I went to the UK, I did 3 shows. So we did a joint at the Paradise of Kills Arise, which is in the Kilburn area in London. We did a joint called Vintage Got Soul. So the first time I went, it was more so like, let me hop on some showcases and see what I can do. You know what I mean? Then this year, I was like, okay, let me reach out to the venues. We gonna get some dates. We gonna structure everything, and then we gonna get out there and make it happen. So, yeah. So altogether, like, probably about like 6 shows. You know what I'm saying? Like 3 shows one year, 3 shows last year, 3 shows this year. So, you know, and we gonna continue making it a thing. So it's like I said, my music gets a lot of love over there.
There's a large crowd of people that come out to come see you.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, with putting on a tour, it's like I learned a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as doing my own thing, there were some things that could have been better. You know what I'm saying? But just the blessing to have, you know, have the opportunity to go out there. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was about. You know what I'm saying? To continuously build that bridge. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's all about expanding. So, yeah.
That's cool. They enjoy your music over there. So that's definitely something that you will be doing again in the future. Oh, yeah.
We already locked in. We already locked in for London. So, London next year, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I said, in October. Like, it's a little bit like mid-October for next year, but we already locked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself in your music and in your life in the next 5 years?
You know what? I just truly hope that my music continues to plant seeds in people's minds and just, you know, just hopefully it just helps us just reach into our inner self and just continue to grow. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, you've been doing music for so long, but at the same time, it's like you never really just got over that hump. You know what I mean? Just being honest. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, we push, but it's like we trying to get over that hump. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, hopefully it's like we can go from the UK, we can go to Japan, we can go to Africa. Like, I really want to take this thing international. So that's kind of where I see myself in 5 years. But at the same time, making sure that I stay true to my message and just keep getting, you know what I'm saying, keep pushing out great content. You know what I mean? So that's where I see myself, you know?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, that was all the questions I had. That includes all my questions for you.
No
today.
doubt, no doubt.
Thank you for coming out.
No
I had a
doubt.
pleasure interviewing you. It's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well, you know what I'm saying? So